Thank you so much, Shreya, and a warm welcome to our three panelists, Alok, Pawan, and Ravi. Great having you here today. So, this particular, uh, let us say, series of Antar Prerana was about looking at an entrepreneur's inner journey and especially focusing on the early stage of that journey, the ideation phase, the startup phase, the survival phase, and maybe the scaling phase, and figuring out how we can, get some amount of interesting insights from the Bhagavad Gita and figuring out how we can, put it to use uh, in our daily lives as entrepreneurs. Just to tell you how important it is to understand some of these concepts and figure out how we can bring it to use in our day-to-day lives. In my own journey as an entrepreneur, uh, many times, like Ravi mentioned earlier, like Alok mentioned earlier, uh, there's a familiar pattern. You move from being a hero to a zero, and then you kind of reinvent yourself and try and figure out how you're going to get out of that, and how can you reinvent yourself, and how can you do what you want to do in life. And one of the important things when we understand the purusharthas, which is dharma, artha, kama, moksha, the important thing for entrepreneurs is to figure out how can we live a life, a daily life, full of moksha. What is moksha? Moksha is complete liberation from fear, from anxiety, from worry, from stress. Okay. So, is it actually possible for us to look at that? And one of the important ways to look at that is to figure out how can we get our teams to move from good to great. Okay. We take a lot of trouble, we get the right people into our enterprise, but how do we get them to move from being good people to being great people is always a challenge for all entrepreneurs. And a little later today, we're going to get Dipti, Alok, Pawan, and Ravi to share with us what are some interesting insights that they can share that they practiced in their enterprises. There are three aspects that we need to understand as entrepreneurs. And I think it's very important when we want to go from good to great, when we want to take our enterprise from a situation of good and we want to make it into great. Okay, there are three very important aspects. The first aspect that we need to understand is that we live in a very dynamic, changing world. Okay. And from the Bhagavad Gita, we understand that this is called the Kshara aspect of life. Okay, what is Kshara? Things will keep changing. Okay, so what will keep changing? The members of our team, founders, co founders will leave. There will be some additions, there will be some people who will leave. So, this is the Kshara aspect of the entire enterprise. Clients that you deal with, okay, will suddenly stop dealing with you. The government is, Alok mentioned, Ravi mentioned earlier, uh, keeps changing, those aspects of life changing. The partners, the vendors that you will work with will keep changing. The business environment, the ecosystem that Ravi alluded to earlier. So, all of this is something that will keep changing in life. Okay. And you can either get, as entrepreneurs, we can try and figure out how can you get bogged down by the fact that it is a dynamic world, it is changing, things are changing, things are evolving all the time. Look at the way we are at this point of time. The announcement that we're already a $4 trillion economy is a phenomenal announcement that has been made recently by the chief economic advisor to the government of India. And you know, looking back at my own life, and when I started working, and we were told that we are an underdeveloped country, we are a poor country, to today to say that we're a $4 trillion economy and confidently marching towards 7 trillion and $10 trillion is absolutely magical. At the same time, there is an unchanging aspect of each of our businesses, which is the akshara part of our business. This is completely based on our Swadharma, and we examined this some episodes ago. What is that? The way you deal with yourself. As an entrepreneur, it's very, very important that despite the tugs and the pulls and the pressures of daily life, we need to figure out a way that we deal with ourselves. Do we beat ourselves up every day, or do we actually respect ourselves? That's something which is very, very critical. The way we deal with people who work with us, whether it's a transaction, an interaction, a conversation, a relationship that we get into, how do you deal with people? Just because things are going well or things are going badly, it doesn't mean to say that if things are going well, you become arrogant, or when things are going badly, you get into anxiety, you get into fear, you get into anger. It doesn't really matter. These things are built in. And, Pawan comes from a family, we've been dealing with that with Cycle Agarbatti for many, many years ago. Pawan, as part of MA Busel. The way you work, the way you accomplish your work, the processes that you use, this is all akshara. The rigor, the discipline that gets into this, just showing up, the way you deal with the ecosystem. All of this is something that should not change just because the markets are changing, just because life is changing. This aspect of you as an entrepreneur is not something that should change. And there's a third aspect in any enterprise, and that is what we call the uttama part. How can you become a better version of yourself every day? In what way are you going to become a lighthouse? In what way, as an entrepreneur, are you going to be attracting the best of businesses, the best of people to come and work with you? How can you be the best version of yourself, where you're going to attract people rather than, waiting for things to happen? Where people want to do business with us. How can we do that? Where honesty, truth, delivery, deliverables are all happening seamlessly in our enterprises. Okay. And I think we've got a great panel today in Dipti, and in Alok, in Pavan, in Ravi, who are going to talk to us. It is this aspect of striving to be a better version of yourself every day than you were yesterday is what will help you move into a very, very important aspect, which is scalability. If we, and today, just to tell you, Alok, Pavan, and Ravi, this particular, we've been able to get a lot of early stage startups, the ideation stage, the startup stage, the survival stage, and all of us have been through that particular stage. But today we're talking in terms of how do we scale? How do we move from that stage into a scalability stage? How do we get that? How do we move, from mere just surviving into scalability? So we've chosen a very interesting shloka for you. We've chosen 3 shlokas for you. And I'm going to request Dipti to talk because these shlokas are very, very important. I sincerely believe that, even if we can look at, I mean, there are about 26 different attributes and we'll understand each of them in greater detail. But if we can choose maybe 3 or 4 of them and practice it on a day-to-day basis consciously, that is conscious entrepreneurship. That is Antar Prerana for you at work. So, Dipti, I'm going to bring you in and request you to please share these shlokas with us, Dipti.
Okay. Yeah. So I think there are 3 shlokas. So I'll start with the first one.
Yeah, I'm doing 1, and then I'll do 2, and then we'll do 3. I mean,
Yeah.
I'll get you to read all 3 shlokas.
So I'll read the translation and then go to the next shloka, right?
Please.
Slide by slide, right? Okay,
Yes.
fine. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Abhayam Sattva Samshuddhihi Jnana Yoga Vyavasthitihi Danam Damascha Yajnascha Swadhyaya Stapa Arjavam. The blessed Lord said, fearlessness, purity of heart, steadfastness in knowledge and yoga, almsgiving, control of the senses, sacrifice, study of scriptures, austerity, and the straightforwardness. Ahimsa satyam krodha tyagah shantirpaishunam Daya bhuteshvalo luptvam martavam hira chapalam. harmlessness, truth, absence of anger, renunciation, peacefulness, absence of crookedness, compassion towards beings, non covetousness, gentleness, modesty, absence of fickleness. तेज क्षमा धृति शौचम अद्रोहो नातिमानिता भवन्ति सम्पदं दैवम् अभिजातस्य भारत. Vigor, forgiveness, fortitude, purity, absence of hatred, absence of pride, these belong to the one born for a divine state, O Arjuna. So, as Ram mentioned, and as we saw in this shloka, 3 shlokas that Krishna is actually highlighting 26 qualities, the qualities of the Uttama Purusha. Now, Uttama is ideal, yes, but 26 qualities, it's not easy at one. Nobody is perfect, so not one individual to have all these 26 qualities is difficult. But yes, even if few are there, then we can move forward. So, from an entrepreneur perspective, I believe that these qualities that we are looking at is actually ideal fit for the purpose, for that particular job, for that particular purpose. Now, if we look at all these qualities, they are nothing but attitudes. And so, as an entrepreneur, when I look at people and employ people, I see them more on the attitude aspects rather than the skills, because skills become redundant over a period. And we have seen this happening now with the AI coming, so many skills are getting disabled, right? So, what I look at is the attitude. And for me, what are the attitudes that I see in my job, in my work, in my business? And these are some of the things like integrity, ability to learn and desire to learn. So learnability, yeah. Then I also look at things like adaptation, agility, and giving. Giving is very important in my particular business because we are in this space of making a difference in people's lives. So giving, that attitude of giving should be there. If I look at skills, I would look at skills. I can have people with complementary skills, but as far as attitude is concerned, if they are aligned, then it becomes easy to build the synergy in the team. It becomes easy to have a seamless execution, and therefore work becomes easy. So these attributes for me becomes very, very important. Now, if you look at, earlier Krishna in his earlier chapters have talked about 6 vices, and these qualities, the 26 qualities that he's talking about, if we can even develop few of them, and strengthen them, because they are nothing but strengths. The attitudes are nothing but strengths. And if we can strengthen them up, then they can help us overcome those 6 vices: kama, krodha, lobha, moha, matsarya. Now, if we are looking at, Ram was talking about how we develop teams and how we encourage scaling of. So, before we scale up the business, we need to scale up the people that are working for us. And how we practice, at least how I practice in my business, is that we have a process of showing first what to do and hand holding through the process. And everything is process oriented, whether our sahyogis, who are also mentors and coaches, we have a process of training them up to deliver the programs. And for that, the same principles follow: the showing, the hand holding, then mentoring, and observation. These are some of the ways in which we do. And then every meeting and every session that goes by, we do a debriefing on that, so that we all learn from that. So there is a group learning that we usually do, because we have quite a bit of group discussion. Even while I do the designing of the program, while I do customize, I want the inputs from others also. So we generally sit together, brainstorm it, and then go about doing it. So we encourage we call it sahyogis, they are our associates, and also people who work for us. We encourage them to be the product of the product. Unless you have lived Born to Win, you cannot go and translate that and talk to about Born to Win to others. So they become the product of the product. So that is how we go about scaling up first the individuals and then the business. Over to you, Ram.
Thank you, Dipti. Thanks for that thought. So here are the 26 qualities again looked at from today's lens. Fearlessness. What is fearlessness all about? As entrepreneurs, as employees, as teammates, we will make mistakes, we will fail, we will fall. Fearlessness will help us figure out a way of bouncing back, of coming out of it. The fact is that when you walk, you're going to fall. There is no doubt about that. But how can we inculcate a certain amount of fearlessness in our people to take those risks, to push the envelope, to get on with life? That you will not get the successes that you want, but can you come back again and again and again? And this particular shloka, talks about so many interesting aspects, and these are some beautiful nuggets. Being steadfast, okay, not being fickle, not just jumping from one thought to the other as an entrepreneur, okay, speaking your mind, being upright, humility, which he ends with Naati Manita. These are all such very, very important qualities that go on to defining the culture of an organization. If you want to move from good to great, as Dipti mentioned, first you need to practice this yourself. You need to become that lighthouse in the organization where people will then willingly want to be mentored by you. You need to walk the talk. You need to set those examples going. Once you do that, then you start creating a team of people around you who are going to be doing exactly the same thing. What I'd like to do is that I want to bring in my panel now, uh, because I'm very, very sure that they've got some very, very interesting things to share with us on what are three or four qualities that you look for uh, in your people that has now become a part of the culture of those organizations that you have been working with and leading. So let me ask Pawan to start off with. Pawan, what qualities are you looking for, and what qualities go to defining the culture of the organizations that you're building?
Yeah, thanks, Ram. See, for me, good or bad, as part of a family business that's been around for 80 years, a lot of our culture, values, ethos were set up over time. And, if you look at it in some way, my grandfather or my father, my uncles, they were all influenced by the Bhagavad Gita and the strong philosophy that we all come from. So in a way, I relate to what we're talking here, and it comes back to the same things, right? When you talk about culture and values, especially as a South Indian Brahmin family business, we believe very deeply in being honest, sincere, true true to who you are, and the ability to, I mean, we have a very, very strong belief. I have a very strong belief that the toughest thing to do in life, especially when it comes to business, is to keep it simple. The ability to simplify things, and we try to inculcate that in the cultural aspect of the organization, because the ability to break complex problems down into simple ones, the ability to be truly honest and transparent in your thoughts, because I think these are some of the fundamental things we've seen really hold organizations back. So, the answer to your question, there are multiple value systems that we inculcate in our organizations. And when I look at people, the first thing I evaluate is, do these people who are going to be part of my journey, do they have the mindset and the thought, to even pick up some of these cultural and values and ethos that we want them to? Because I'm a big believer that performance is only one aspect, the functional performance of a professional. But I think there is so much more in that an employee or a professional needs to bring to the organization. So we actually have a very constructed mechanism, and we train our leaders on how to interview, potential candidates that come on board our journey. We're very proud. We call ourselves NR Parivar. NR is the group that the family belongs to, and all the companies. And we call ourselves a family, an extended family. And everybody who comes on board, we are now 5,600 people in the group. We want to make sure that they have the cultural and the values and the ethos, if not today, but the ability to build them and develop them. Now, you talked about fearlessness, right? Now, every organization are at different parts, I mean, different points in their journeys. Early on, the definition of fearlessness changes as one company moves through different points in its journey. I'll give you an example. When I went to Israel, and I started investing in companies, entrepreneurs would come in and very openly say they failed at this, they failed at that, and they're trying to do something else now. And it was a bit of a shocker for us because in India, the word failure was not very easily accepted, right?
Yeah.
So I think the fearlessness in this context at an early stage of an entrepreneurial journey really is very relevant to have the ability to take risk. And the ability to take risk comes from the ability to embrace failure. And it's a tough one. For us, from a DNA standpoint, we Indians have not seen as many major wars, especially below the Deccan. We've been blessed. And so I think us as South Indians, are even more risk averse by nature. So it's a big challenge, and the concept of fearlessness needs to be understood, needs to be embraced, and the ability to embrace failure. Because if your venture fails, you are not a failure. It's a tough one for us to accept as a society also. And so I see so many entrepreneurs clinging on to a particular venture. And I think that in fact stems from the lack of understanding of what it means to be fearless. So, to your point, if we look at the 26 virtues that are discussed in these verses, I think each one of them have a specific meaning to each of these entrepreneurs who are here and their journeys, because I think the meanings and the relevance changes as you go through different stages of your journey. And in my own case, like I said, we have a constructed interview mechanism where we actually evaluate people on culture, values, ethos, as much as we do their ability to learn, their ability to adapt, and their historical familiarity with what we want them to do.
Wonderful. Beautiful, Pawan. Thank you so much for that lovely share. Alok, can I bring you in?
Sure, Ram, thanks. So I'll share some early stories before as an entrepreneur. So I started my career in Wipro, and I was quite influenced by Azim Premji's early focus on integrity. And I was then in Sun Microsystems, where Wipro was a partner. And because Scott McLeanly was coming in and I was heading partnering for Sun, I happened to sit across the seat across the aisle on the same row on a flight with Mr. Premji. Okay, and I got one very nugget from him, which I think I would not ever forget in my life. And he says that, and we chatted about Scott, what Scott wants to do, and what could be. I knew he would be interested in talking to me because he wanted to prepare for Scott's meeting, okay, not because of anything else. And I could give him that input. So I obviously used it to my advantage. And while I was going through the conversation, I think he loosened up after half an hour, and he said, and I told him I was ex-Wipro, and I thanked him for the culture he's brought in. And he said that integrity makes the most money. And he kept quiet after that. Okay. And he says the most successful mantra for business to make money is integrity. And I couldn't get it that time, but after an hour or two of the flight, it just struck me, okay, like a thunderbolt. So, imagine Mr. Premji is there. He's got a lakh people, all are integrity driven, all are hardworking, all are sincere. They're making money for the company. Okay. Now, if there was a culture where you are bribing, you are doing things, then obviously things are being stolen at every level. So you are drying the company out, right? So he's created lakhs of people who take pride in being honest, but in that honesty and hard work, they just deliver to the company and the company becomes extremely rich. So it stuck to me that you don't need to take shortcuts, but if you really build truly a culture of integrity, it is the largest mantra for success. That kind of motivated me to always think about things will take care of itself. Don't take shortcuts. If you might win or lose, but it doesn't matter. It's just a part of the journey. You're not finished till you're finished. So it doesn't matter. Today you win something or you lose something, as they're doing for the right reasons. So that was one very interesting anecdote that happened to me, and that statement I just stated one line and said, and I think it struck me later. That was my interpretation. I think it was correct, but you guys can also have your own interpretation. Then over time, I realized when I saw things, everybody talks very similar language, but and us as both as professionals and entrepreneurs. And I'll come to my people. First, let me talk about my journey. What I realized, there was a difference between intellectually understanding something and actually living it. So what it means is that because we are so smart, all of us are intellectually so smart and understand concepts so easily. Because I understand the concept, I think I am that. But I do exactly things. I think as entrepreneurs, as human beings, I think each one of you need to watch out is that don't go for understanding anything intellectually. You will understand everything intellectually. You'll understand the shlokas, you'll understand, but do you live it? Do you practice it? And and to be able to be watchful of yourself. Okay. One of the mantras I want to do is obviously we want to build great products, and build like an engineering company that people associate with globally. A few of them are doing it, like Ranga's company and others, but we are also one of the few ones that are doing it. But I also tell my team that when you are here after 5 years, you're not even much better professionally, but you're also a much better human being, because then you will contribute a lot more to the society. You'll contribute to your families. You'll be a much better father. You'll be a much better friend. And that's equally important. So, when you walk the journey, it's not only important for you to be success, because then you'll take shortcuts and do that. For us, we try to look at people, because all of us are work in progress and we are human beings. We try to look at people um, who have a little bent of self development, or they at least think about what their strengths and weaknesses are. They have a higher awareness. They're not shy in sharing some of their failures, or their things that they need to improve upon. And we believe that they're mentorable. So I think one of the qualities that I look for, and sometimes I do find people who are quite smart, but I don't feel that they will fit in the culture, and I may not end up handling. We are still a very small company. I do take the time to interview everyone. The final call is taken by me, but I think alignment to culture is very critical. But I've learned some few other lessons that when you talk about culture, some people want to also misuse that and make it easy. But we are here for our personal excellence and performance of the company. So how do you marry both and not lose track on that? That it should not become very wishy-washy and just nice things to do should not be the mantra. So those are the kind of things we've grappled with a little bit, but it also exposes us that how some people will take this whole process of giving them the freedom to excel, and how people will take the process of freedom to slack. And I think that that's okay, because you gave them the freedom, then you realize who was what, so if you made it too strict, you'll never figure out who it was. So I think just being watchful, and being, this thing is very important. I'll maybe share a few more sentences, and I'll move on to let Ravi talk about it. One of the things that it in my journey, um, what I realized was that a little bit of detachment, is very important, in the sense that um, you will not be bothered about failure so much if you don't give yourself so much credit to. So both the success and failure doesn't belong to you. You just need to show up every day and be there to do the best you can. Sometimes success will happen, sometimes failure will happen, and you learn from both. And if you're steadfast in what you do, then people trust you. They may not like something that you do at that time, but in the long term, they always trust you because you stand for the same thing. And over time, what pays you the most is the trust of your customers, your people, and your investors, and your whole ecosystem, your partners, and everybody else, your suppliers. Okay, tough times will really come. Good times don't last, tough times don't last, they will go away.
Yeah.
And how you behave during the tough times, how, is when you squeeze a lemon, lemon juice comes out, is, squeeze a Karela, Karela will come out, because squeeze an Anar, Anar will come out, or an Orange, Orange will come out. So you will get squeezed, okay? And what comes out is not what world did to you, but it's what is inside you. It only helps you to recognize what you have inside, so you can take care of it. Nobody can do anything to us except what happens to us is what comes from inside, is what we are. The universe will find a way to squeeze us. And entrepreneurship, I think, is the fastest way for spiritual growth. If you want to go,
Absolutely.
because hardship and entrepreneurship go together. It's not something that, they are two sides of the same coin. Okay. Heartbreaks, everyday failures, successes, everything goes part of it. It's a brilliant, adventurous movie that you go through, which you don't know what's going to happen next, and it's fascinating.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Alok. Ravi, with your eclectic experience, and I must tell all the participants here, Ravi is an interesting character. In addition to being a great entrepreneur, mentor, etc., etc., he's just completed a 400-kilometer cycling expedition in 4 days, cycling across some of the toughest terrains in Karnataka. So, Ravi, can you weigh in, please?
Yeah, thank you, Ram. That was actually 500 kilometers
Oh,
in the end.
500 kilo. I'm sorry, I shaved off 100. I didn't know that. My apologies.
Anyway, yeah, so I just want to take you to one part of my entrepreneurial journey. This is year 2000. We were one of the hottest startups in Washington, D.C. area in the telecom sector. We were doing voice over IP. And we had raised close to about $15 million, which was very lot of money 25 years ago, you can imagine. And the VCs were really looking at us and wanting us to do some fantastic work. And then something happened, which is called the telecom meltdown. And the entire telecom sector kind of just vanished. Just like dot-com bust happened, telecom meltdown also happened around the same time. And we were really, really scared, because here we had a team of about 100 plus people. We had hardware, we had software, we had very complicated products, and we also had great aspirations and great expectations from our investors. So, a human tendency always, says, okay, if those are the things that you're faced with, why not take some shortcut and really find a way to kind of keep things going and see how we can, just figure things out along the way. But, you know, just take some, get some products, even though they are not completely tested, not completely finished, perhaps, put it into the customer hands, collect revenue, and maybe tell the investors that, okay, these customers are loving what we're doing, so that they don't lose faith in us, and so on and so forth. Well, we may not have done any of those things, but there was a huge, um, I think, tendency for us to consider that as an option, because we said, if shit happens to us, why not we just kind of find a way to, uh, you know, uh, let the situation dictate, our morality, our ability to make the right decisions. And so, in a board meeting, somehow one of the board members looked at us and said, "You are a B class team. You're not an A class team." Because I think we came across looking and speaking like people who were not necessarily ones that were, going after this debacle or setback in a positive way. We looked very weak. We looked very tired. We didn't feel look very motivated, and and that's what came across to people. Although our actions were actually not there either. So we closed a very weak quarter at that time, and then we had this coming together of our management team, and we said, what is this? We have come here. Our board doesn't have much confidence in us, and we don't have confidence in ourselves and each other. And what could be the best way to come out of this? Obviously, one is to hack our way out of it, or we can just say, we will stand by solid principles. We will, go towards the Daivik set of things rather than the demonic set of things that are easy for us to do, and let's choose to do that, and let's make it happen. And as a test, we said, from a quarter that we had closed at about $350,000, to let us try and do something absolutely on the right principles, but do it with $1 million of not just orders closed but also cash collected. So that said, if there's nothing more than, an order can be fudged or whatever, if people can send in an order and then not necessarily do this, but having cash in the bank, there's no other way that we can fudge ourselves or fudge anybody else. So let's do $1 million in cash. So here we are. Not only did we took the very difficult decision of saying, okay, we won't take any shortcuts. We won't, give in to our, the demonic aspirations that may have crossed our mind. But let's try and build the company by, engendering trust in our customers, engendering trust in our investors and the board, and build the product to the point where we feel that we are actually living by that trust, and give it to them, and then charge, and then collect the money after that. It was a very difficult thing to abide by, but we went through that process, and once we were close to the quarter, I still remember we were probably about $950,000 of
Wow.
collections by that time. We were surprised. We said, we can actually be very happy and call it a day. But then we found out that there was actually a FedEx package that was waiting in the FedEx thing, that the guy said, "Hey, I won't bring it and drop it off. If you want to come and pick it up from our office, we're happy to give it to you." So I said, "You know what? I'm just going to come there, and I'm going to come pick up the check that we thought had arrived." And indeed, it was a check of $60,000, which made us cross $1 million in
Wow.
collections.
Fantastic.
So,
Fantastic.
I think when you actually are guiding your actions, guiding your thoughts by the right principles, the entire universe also conspires to help you. And that's what we learned at that point in time. And I think that was a huge learning. And as Alok said, this whole entrepreneurial thing perhaps looks like, oh, it's about technology, it's about hard work, it's about this, but it's also a deeply spiritual experience. And that's what we learned. And if we continue to be living as good human beings in our professional, entrepreneurial, and personal lives, I think a lot of wonderful things we can do ourselves and we can do for other people as well. So that's what I wanted to share with you.
Wonderful. What a beautiful share, Ravi. That's incredible. Dipti, anything that you'd like to share?
Yeah, I mean, you know what I have seen in our my business, especially where we work with sahyogis. So sahyogis are not actually employees, and then to have the same kind of values and attitudes, uh, because unless and until they share the same attitudes and values that we have in our Born to Win, it's very difficult to carry on with them as a as business associates. So for us, values play a very very important role, and integrity, as Alok said, is a prime in is at the topmost in my list of values that I look for when it comes to not only just for the employees but also for the sahyogis who are going to work with us for the in the business. At the same time, while we do face sometimes a kind of a you know kind of a shortcuts that maybe sometimes a client may expect, or there are times when one or two clients may have done that, but we still stick to our own values. We just don't give in that.
All right, thank you. Shreya, we'll open up some breakout rooms because I'd love some of our participants to speak to Dipti, to Alok, to Pavan, to Ravi, have a conversation there. So while you're getting the breakout room ready,
It's
Shreya.
ready, Ram. I can open
Okay,
it.
great. So you can start. I just want, before you do that, I just want to ask Alok, Pavan, and Ravi one question. What is a daily practice that helps you? Alok, one daily practice that you do that helps you get through the day with a smile on your face.
Um, One daily practice that helps me is not to, um, you know, okay, let me talk about more professional, more professional stuff. I think just a recap of the day for me. Okay.
Okay.
That how my day went, what could I do better, what happened, just to, I don't even analyze. I don't even, judge. I just observe it. My
Very
actions,
nice.
it's like uh, the whole scene
Watching.
being played in front of me.
Fantastic.
And I think
Watching a
the
movie.
learning for me lies in the observation. So that's
Very
true.
nice. Very nice. What a beautiful
Yeah,
thought.
watching a movie. Yeah.
Pavan?
Okay. It's my morning tennis. It's a very essential thing for me. Uh, it it gives me focus. It kind of my day starts with this routine, and I think playing a game, a sport, is very important for me to get the day right. It gets into a right mindset. It gets your endorphins going. It also is a little like, when you're playing a good game of any game, you kind of get into a state of trance, which is very spiritual in a way. And this morning game of tennis is very essential for me.
Very nice. Very nice. Lovely. I love that focus. I love that, getting into that zone, getting into that mindset. Ravi?
Yeah, for me, I'm a big believer in finding out if I actually made some decisions or acted in certain ways that was uh, supported by my anxieties. Did I get anxious? Did I do some things that really made me imbalanced? You talked about cycling. You always are continuing to keep balance, as be it headwinds or the road being rough, whatever, right? And we entrepreneurs love the uncertainties that are there, and we enjoy that. But at the same time, do we also make sure that we don't lose our balance? We
Wonderful.
make
Very
decisions.
nice.
So the analysis of the day, where I lost balance, where I could be doing it better, always helps me do a much better job the next day.
Excellent. Dipti?
I have two or three practices, but the one practice that I would like to share here is self reflection, reflecting on myself. In fact, every time, if I even have a little bit of, if I see my mood swing or anything, then even at that very point, I will reflect on myself. So I do it 2 to 3 times in a day, on what has gone on, and the question of asking myself why this has happened, what is making it, what is triggering, what is. So these are my ways of indulging in my own
Excellent.
attitudes and talking about myself.
So for me, it's about gratitude. You know, I I I go through this whole thing of gratitude, even for the smallest, for the tiniest things. Like tomorrow morning, I'm going to, in my gratitude journal, I'm going to be talking about the fact that all four of you are here, and you did this entire program with us. It's that gratitude that gets me grounded to believe that I am not the guy who's doing everything in life. I'm not the doer. That there are so many people who are all getting together to help me to do what I need to do. So, with your permission, Pawan, Ravi, Alok, and Dipti, we will assign you to some breakout rooms where we will get people in the group now to ask you questions, interact with you, talk to you. So, we'll take maybe Shreya about 15 minutes for that. And let's open up the room, Shreya.
Sure.
Session, first of all, thank you very, very much, all of you, for being here. It's been wonderful, 9 weeks. I don't know how these 9 sessions have gone by. But any final thoughts, Ravi?
Very, very enlightening for me. I also learned a lot from all of you, and the questions that we got from the audience. I was telling someone that, as entrepreneurs, we constantly learn, and this, was another opportunity for us to learn. So, thank you for inviting me to this session.
Wonderful. Dipti?
Same here. A lot of learnings for me too. I was just telling that in my room also, that we learn a lot, especially because we get so many different viewpoints that come across. So there's a learning for us, and it's a journey. I mean, it's going to be a journey all our life. Learning from Gita. It's never enough.
Wonderful. Pawan?
Well, this was a wonderful session for me because, many a times as you build organizations, it can be a fairly lonely journey on the top, being on the top. There are some things you can express to the board, some things you can express to family, some things you can express to your team, but a lot of times there's a lot of thoughts within, right? So I think a session like this really is very meaningful, impactful, because often we forget that we need to look within, in this journey, while most of our sessions are about what happens outside and, externally. So I'm very glad I was able to participate in this.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, Pawan. Alok?
I think it was a fantastic session for me. I think the breakout sessions, luckily I didn't get a couple of questions I got. Then I was listening to their stories and learning from them. So that was very fascinating for me.
I know.
And like Deepti said, we learn all our lives. The only time we'll stop learning is when we are dead. So
Absolutely.
that's, so it's an onward journey. I think conversations like this just help us time to reflect ourselves too,
Very true.
and it's not only learning for them, but I think it's a time for self-reflection, and when you gather your thoughts and you ask questions, you listen to others and how they look at things. So I thank all the other participants, who came into my group, and all the other panelists, because I learned from you, Ravi, Deepti, Pavan, Ram, a lot. Thank you all.
Thank you so much. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we will officially close this program with a small uh, address by Ritu. But before that, thank you very much. Wonderful, wonderful experience being here. Truly appreciate the efforts of Thai Bangalore, Madan, Ritu, for putting this program together, for people like Chinmay to work on the promotions, Deepal and Shreya for being absolute, I mean, you really, both of you are wonder girls, if you ask me. Week on week to be here to get things going. And thank you so very much. So it's been a nice, interesting journey of exploring an entrepreneur's inner journey seen through the lens of the Purusharthas, Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. To some of you who've been here every week, thank you so much. And I will be here a little even after we formally close this session. In case any of you have any doubts, any of you have any thoughts, any of you'd like to do any sharing, you can do that. Deepal, I'm sure, has posted all our LinkedIn profiles. Please reach out to us. We would be very, very happy to engage with you in a conversation on any of the subjects that you may want from us. With that, Ritu, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Firstly, thank you, Ram and Dipti. I mean, these 9 weeks have been absolutely wonderful. To be honest, I haven't been on all the episodes. I have been on a couple, but it's truly, truly amazing that the fourth edition of Antar Prerana has also been such a wonderful and absolutely smashing hit, as always. So immense gratitude to the both of you. Thank you, speakers. I think this is one session I've attended end to end, and it was absolutely fantastic. And especially, I think I was with Pawan in his breakout room, and we said I think I was the last one asking the question, and he said I'll speak up until the time we. And Pawan, I'll reach out to you separately to finish the story. So it was wonderful. So, as we close, this journey of 9 weeks that we've had thus far, it's so clear that, entrepreneurship is just far more than just strategy and execution. It's an inner journey of clarity, of purpose, and of conscious action. Each session over the past weeks has, reminded us collectively that when a founder is really, really anchored within, the organization also finds its center as well. And, across these 9 weeks, we've explored purpose, we've explored swadharma, discipline, humility, resilience, and leadership maturity. And these are not just abstract ideas that have been spoken about. There are actual practical tools that actually shape, teams, culture, and long-term success. So, from building with intention to actually detaching from outcomes, from choosing the right people for your organization to shaping a healthy and value-driven workplace. Antar Prerana actually has shown us that growth, which is most sustainable when it's both internal as well as external. So, as you all return back to your ventures and your startups and your day jobs, I sincerely hope that you are, carrying forward this blend of timeless wisdom and entrepreneurial action that Ram and Dipti have given us, over the 9 weeks. There have been consistently people joining in for these 9 weeks. And thank you so very much for being a part of this very, very powerful edition. And yeah, I mean, cheers to building an organization with growth and with purpose clarity and inner strength. And on that note, thanking each one of y'all who have added immensely to the growth of Antar Prerana. Thank you for your support. And also, I think the journey has been fantastic, and we look forward to the next edition, which will be next year, of course. Uh, and yeah, we've had almost 30 speakers across these last 9 sessions. So thank you, each and every one of you all, wholeheartedly. Thank you and good night.
Good night.
Good night. And oh, wow. Shreya, you got something for us?
Yeah.
All right. My goodness, that's, oh, wow.
Actually, you guys were supposed to be on this holding slide when I was speaking, but I think
Oh, okay.
we had technical glitches. So
No,
apologies.
no, but good. I think, it's fantastic. Yeah. Wow. I mean, when I look back, my goodness, what a distinguished
Yeah,
panel of speakers that we've had. My goodness. Very nice, Shreya. Fantastic. Well, that draws this program to a close. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Dipti. Thank you,
Thank
Pawan. Thank you,
Thank
Alok. Thank you, Ravi, for being here. I do understand it's a Wednesday night, and I'm here in case any of the participants would like to interact, ask any questions. I'd love to be here. But Dipti, Alok, I know you have an early flight tomorrow morning, so if you guys would like to sign off, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so very much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.